Welcome to Swipe. Here's what's coming up for you on this week's show.
Alex goes for a spin in a car that can read his emotions. I'm at a London art gallery where the owner will only let you pay in cryptocurrency. And Alysia's taking down Nergiganti in our games review.
That's all to come for you after a quick look at some of the tech news headlines that grabbed our attention this week.
Do you remember the major competition that was due to give $20 million to the first privately funded team to make it to the moon by the end of March this year? Well, after a decade of hard work, it's over, and nobody's won. Google Lunar X Prize chiefs released a statement blaming difficulties of fundraising, technical and regulatory challenges, so the grand prize will go unclaimed. US phone chipmaker Qualcomm has been fined £872 million for paying Apple to exclusively use its chips. The European Commission has said the payments to Apple meant no rival manufacturers could challenge Qualcomm in the market, no matter how good their products were. The Prime Minister Theresa May is launching a fake news rapid response team. The unit will be based in the Cabinet Office and will reportedly monitor social media to identify and challenge disinformation. And a dad who, inspired by his own son, created a hydraulically operated digital prosthetic arm for babies and toddlers, has made the shortlist in a competition to find the UK's best new inventors. Others in the running for the Inventor Prize include the creator of support seating for young wheelchair users with automatically adjusting inflatable air cells, and a business that's developed a Braille e-reader. The winner will get £50,000 to further their project.
We'll talk about what I'm doing here at a fine art gallery in Mayfair in a couple of minutes, because first up, Alex has been behind the wheel of a car that researchers claim can read your emotions, and it might just be the flashiest car we've ever had on Swipe. You'll see what I mean.
Driving can be one of the most thrilling and stressful things we do. So what if your car could pick up on your emotions? Well, this one can. So from the front looks more or less like an ordinary car, but if you join me around the sides, you'll notice across the windows are these panels. Now these contain almost 200,000 LED lights, and around and underneath the car are 110 LED strips. Now what these do is display on the outside of the car the inner emotional state of the driver, and they do that using this heart rate monitor and what's called galvanic skin response, measuring how much I, as the driver, am sweating behind the wheel. Ford are calling this their Buzz car, designed to recognise the thrills experienced during stunt driving and to display these through the LEDs. So, under the watchful eye of an experienced stunt driver, I couldn't resist giving it a go.
Just set off.
Oh. You didn't get that, did you? And after a bit of a shaky start, I was off.
And then full lock now, and then full power. Come off the clutch.
This manoeuvre is called drifting, oversteering to lose traction and slide the car sideways.
Get the power on. Come on, power! 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 Brilliant!
The car recognised the thrill I experienced and lit up.
Fantastic. I'm pleased to say you just had a buzz moment.
I bet I did.
We stream the data of what the body's doing, the non-conscious response, emotional response of the body. We stream that to a mobile phone that you would use every day, a standard mobile phone. And 200 times a second we collect all this data about the body and what you're doing. And that's sent to our cloud API where we do all our heavy lifting, our algorithmic processing to detect what the emotion is. And then in a fraction of a second that emotion is pulled out from the data we've sent up and it's sent straight back to the car where the gaming PC in the back of the car produces all the visualization.
By looking at a certain area in our brain.
Ford are by no means the only major manufacturer developing technology in this field. Visions of the future are now full of cars that know their drivers intimately.
You may want to slow down just a little bit, Noah.
Thanks, Huey. Probably a good idea.
In any car, the most unreliable component is the driver. We know that because accidents are mostly caused by human error. And in any way that we can gauge how the driver is reacting, what sort of mood he's in, how he's reacting with the car. If we can do something about that and put checks and balances in, I think it has a serious purpose in the future.
So as our cars get smarter and get to know us better, reading our emotions could become the norm.
Keep turning left, keep turning, that's it, and stop.
Still, people will probably prefer if some of those feelings aren't displayed in bright lights. Alex Morgan, Sky News.
Now, let's talk about invisible money. Here at this gallery in London's Mayfair, you can only buy items in the latest exhibition using digital currency like Bitcoin. A little bit earlier, I spoke to the gallery's owner and I began by asking her why she's chosen crypto over cash.
Anybody who's been watching the markets recently, we've had Bitcoin jumping all over the place. And this is largely due to panic. People feed off rumor. For as long as the currency remains a speculative thing, people will continue panicking and selling. So there has to be mass adoption. There have to be more businesses, more individuals using cryptos for everyday things.
Tell me how much one of these paintings would cost in real money.
75 grand.
And what's that in Bitcoin?
That's about 10 Bitcoins at today's rate.
So the value of the paintings, the cost, is always fluctuating.
It is, yes.
And you're happy with that?
I adapt to it. We agree and end sum.
Okay.
And we have to achieve that sum.
Cryptocurrency has no central body, like the pound has the Bank of England.
The way money works, it's really quite sad that suddenly we have this economy where there's a possibility for everybody to make money, for many people to get rich, and this is where the governments want to come in and curb that. They don't like the idea of ordinary people getting rich because, you know, money is really available for the few. It's an enclosed club, but this is what opens it. This is what allows people to just become a part of an open economy and to get rich.
But a lot of those wealthy people are the only people who could afford this kind of artwork at the moment, aren't they?
Well, also we offer fractional ownership, whereby if one person cannot buy a piece of art, maybe 10 people can buy the same work of art and co-own it.
There are more than 1,400 listed cryptocurrencies, but Alysia only accepts a handful at her gallery with a preference for Bitcoin Cash.
So what are we looking at here?
These are just some of my holdings. I mean, it's very simple because you have a public address, which is a little bit like account and sort code.
Is it mainly high net worth individuals that use cryptocurrency?
Absolutely not. I mean, you see more institutional investments, you see more people who want to diversify their portfolio today who already have money buy into cryptos, but this didn't start that way. Like techies used to buy. They weren't motivated by money.
There's been a lot of talk of a bubble in the crypto space.
I don't think it's a bubble, to be honest with you. I've never thought that, because if it was a bubble, then we have lived through many of them in the crypto space. When you have this fear-mongering in the press, a lot of the time it's actually attacked. It's done on purpose so that the barrier to entry is lowered and institutions can buy in at a lower price.
For those people who don't own any cryptocurrency, why should they care?
If you like the idea of power, if you like the idea of making decisions, of being in control, then you need to learn about this new economy. This is the greatest thing since the internet.
Staying with the virtual now, it's video games time. Here's Alysia with her review of some of the latest releases.
Monster Hunter World is part of a long-running series that started way back in 2004, where you take the role of a hunter who goes around across loads of different worlds slaying monsters. It's kind of in the name. Monster Hunter World is a really, really great place to dive in if you've never experienced that loop before, if you've never played a Monster Hunter game. Now it's easier than ever to play with your friends online, and you can do it on PlayStation, on Xbox, and soon it's going to be coming to PC. It's really well crafted, it's really cleverly done, and if you're looking for a game that doesn't hold your hand, I really recommend picking up Monster Hunter World. Dragon Ball Z is one of the most iconic action anime series out there, so it really makes sense that you could turn it into a really well-crafted fighting game. There are just 4 attack buttons in Dragon Ball Z, so things are fairly simplistic. The complexity here is in the fact that you can control 3 characters at once, with 24 characters in total on the roster. If you're looking for really tough, deep fighting gameplay here, you're not going to get it, and Dragon Ball FighterZ probably isn't your thing. But if you're a really big fan of Dragon Ball Z as a franchise, as a series, then this is a really great place to jump in, and a really good introduction to fighting games in general. Lost Sphear is an ode to JRPGs, otherwise known as Japanese role-playing games, and it comes from the studio who made last year I Am Setsuna. You play as a 16-year-old boy called Katana who returns home to find that white fog has eaten away at his hometown. If you've played a Final Fantasy game in the 90s, you'll find a lot of things that are familiar here. It's a really great nostalgic trip down memory lane. But if you're looking for something that brings in more modern aspects of JRPGs, you're not going to find it here, but it's perfectly charming.
That's it for this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter @SkyNewsSwipe if you don't already, and join us again next week for more Swipe. Bye-bye.